I have lived in Seattle for, well, since the mid-'80s, but before that I grew up in Spokane and was involved in the punk rock scene there, and that was hugely influential on my musical tastes and lifestyle and all sorts of other things. There was definitely like a couple people, like my sister, a friend who lived across the street, kind of started playing me music that was didn't sound like other stuff on the radio, especially in Spokane. There was no, interesting stuff on the radio at all. And I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. Then with like getting into high school and all, it just I didn't really want to fit in with the predominant culture of either jocks or socias or whatever that it was, so the music and then this kind of alternative way of looking at life kind of all came together right at the same time and just felt right. Mm-hmm. And it was very exciting. It was also the most exciting thing going on. One of the things that kind of I think was cool about punk was that it kind of exploded the expectations and exploded the lockdown aspect of culture and society, and it opened the door for anyone. If you're a person of color, or it doesn't matter if you're male or female or whatever, if you're rich, poor, background, whatever, it was cool if you were into it and you were into making art that was different and unique and pushing the boundaries. It was accepting. Well, the record label Flatfield Records came about when we got done with the film Spokanearchy, which was about the Spokane punk scene in the 80s. And we realized, well, we need to have a soundtrack for this film, so how are we gonna, what are we gonna do? And so instead of like approaching other labels or something like that, we thought, let's just do it ourselves, like we've done everything else. So let's start a label. And we didn't quite realize what we were getting into, I don't think, but it's been a lot of fun. Our latest project is the Twitch and Gloam compilation, and that is that was really fun because it felt like almost like the old days again with the punk rock scene, where all these bands were kind of, most of them were not really getting as much press or as much attention as they should, and so we found this kind of scene that was happening that was very underground and very cool, and we loved the music, and it was really the kind of thing that we wanted to be a part of and see what we could do to really kind of help push things along and get the world to notice, and that felt like certainly that was the mission for that record, and I think we've been successful with it. It's cold, it's minimal, it's post-punk, it kind of goes from synths to distorted guitars. It can be, there's big washes of sound, and it feels at times, post-punk, kind of English influence post-punk, and then kind of shoegazy at the same time, but yeah, dark. I think that's one of the unifying things, is that it just feels very dark, and it kind of fits with Seattle. The Northwest is is oftentimes, you know, there's been a lot of serial killers and that kind of stuff here, you know, very David Lynch, and that's kind of one of the, you know, things that we're tapping into to kind of, you know, reflect what the other part of the Northwest can be like. It's a little spooky, I think, in many ways, you know. It's the weather feels very oppressive to some people, I think. I mean, I love the rain and the overcast, but I think a lot of people are kind of feel oppressed by it. I think that's one aspect. I think it's, you know, the long winters, you know, people start getting depressed or something, you know. What I love is all these bands knew each other and know each other, and they're all pals, and they, you know, when they go to one town, you know, there's a great support, you know, and so, you know, they'll play back and forth in each other's towns, and it's really tight-knit, and I think that's really cool. That was the big discussion about what this scene was called. And all these bands kind of either just wouldn't classify it, or they would say, well, we're kind of this, we're kind of that, or, you know, of course no one said anything like, no one ever said goth. That's how everyone else is applying those labels, you know, to these bands. Of course no one said neo-goth. And so, well, what are we going to call this, you know? And so, you know, is there a genre for this? Is it dark wave? Is it witch house? And it's like, it doesn't really fit any of those stuff, you know. Cold wave, you know. There's that might be something else. Anyway, but yeah. So there didn't seem to be anything to call it, and gloam came from the old archaic English term of the gloaming, right after sunset, and then Twitch just seems like it fits with a lot of the music. One of the things that we thought about early on was not being necessarily genre specific, but we were more interested in my partner in the label, Brad, and I have kind of a wide musical taste, and it seemed that instead of focusing on one specific area, that to reflect our taste, you know, we just want to do like a wide variety of music that we thought was underrepresented or need to be heard, or stuff that just needed to get out there, regardless of genre or